not sleeping at all.
Hmm.
So, and of course, I haven't slept since I don't remember. Oh, we're starting live. Here we go. Wow, just like that, here we are on another Tuesday night for Talk Time with TJ Triple T, number 197.
Yeah,
Man, that's rolling quick. I want to thank you all for joining. If this is your first time joining us or first time watching the recording, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you out on YouTube, I could say, hi, Mom. Mom's watching out on YouTube up in Minnesota, and I'm down here in Texas. Still trying to figure out what's going on. Yes, and before we got rolling, we were discussing all the effects of all the energy in the full moon and everything else, and wondering if anybody's been getting any sleep lately.
And I changed my background because of all the
There you
northern
go.
lights. They've been seen as far south as Texas, TJs. So
Yeah,
something's lighting up the atmosphere, getting those
and if
particles.
you've never seen them, it's worth seeing once in your lifetime. It is just absolute. We used to see them all the time in Minnesota. But that's not what we came here to. We'll discuss that in a bit. I got to see if I can get through my intro. For those of you again on YouTube, please do all of the YouTube stuff that doesn't cost you a thing other than a few clicks. Click the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave comments. If you like the stuff, click like. If you don't, go comment on somebody else's profile and then come back and watch some more. I do also have a website, theTSWB.com. TSWB, the tall, skinny white boy, is what it stands for. Always has, always will, even before the internet. So I'm pre-internet. But on there you'll find some of the things that I do. I'd list all the stuff that I do on there, but somebody would probably think I'm bragging, and I would have to send my mom out to verify. Right, Mom? Yeah. So I do get to help people with depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, grief, relationships, still getting relationship stuff, which I really enjoy. And money stuff's been coming up lately. So people with challenges in their financials. In fact, one of the topics tonight is going to be on that. Uh, Also, I offer a free 30-minute consultation. That's right, no charge to you. 30 minutes of my time to talk about what is challenging you, to see if there's a fit for me to help you out. If there is a fit, I'll let you know. If I feel that we are not a fit, I promise I will let you know, and I will do my best to help you find somebody to get the solutions you are looking for. Yeah, it's been one of those weeks. I guess it's time to introduce the tie of the week. If you've been around Triple T at all, you know that every week I wear a different tie throughout the year. That's right, no repeats unless absolutely necessary for an entire year or more, as I've had people sending me ties. So this is one of them. This is one of my old classics. You'll recognize some of these crazy people on here. Look at them. Uh-huh.
I thought so.
Oh yeah.
That was a good one. People send you ties. That's hysterical.
Well, if you see a tie that you think needs to be on Triple T, feel free to send one.
Hmm.
Other than that, let's start off the week real quick with anybody got something good to share? Who's got something exciting or fun or cool in the last 7 days that we were here? Anybody? Anybody? Mark, what's up?
Um, Today I was traveling down to my office, and I was a little early. And this is not the first time it's happened. It happens a lot. And when I make a connection to people, um, it's always kind of there. It's kind of like quantum physics. And I don't know. I just drove by this fellow's house. I haven't treated him in a while, but a few months ago when his mom passed away, I drove by his house. I got to stop and talk to him. And I did. I found out he was having trouble with it. So we talked for a while, and I was able to help him process his mom's loss. Well, today I was doing the same thing, and I went by it and I saw his truck, and I'm like, something clicked. There was a disturbance in the force.
Yes.
And I said, I got to stop and talk to Ben. So I did. And it wasn't, both him and his wife were there, and they're having an issue with his daughter, her stepdaughter. And I stayed for about an hour. I was able to help him out quite a bit, I think. And he texted me a little while ago. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you and it was just out of the blue. And
Yep.
whenever so again, I'm not good enough to know where the disturbance in the force is. I can't localize it. But when one of my people
You
that I
did.
cared about, I did this time. But one of my people that I've chosen to connect to, throughout my career, something goes wonky, I'll feel a disturbance in the force. I won't be able to localize it most of the time. But I don't know, maybe I'm getting better, Lenny. So, but today I was able to stop by and, talk to them, and it was kind of cool that I just, again, it just, just, like I said, I can't say it was random because, like I said, it just seems to happen that I get this feeling that something's going on out there. Something's going sideways. And I won't be able to identify the person most of the time, but then over time I'll find out that, basically what's gone down.
Awesome.
And that was really cool. I was
It
able
is
to help
very cool.
quite a bit.
In fact, one of the things that I've realized quite a while back is I'm one of the people that will reach out to people randomly, and I'm usually the one that reaches out. If I've talked to somebody a big percentage of the time, it's because I took the initiative to call. And sometimes I'll just get this feeling that, again, I need to talk to somebody. Like you say, disturbance in the force. And I will pick up my phone and go to contacts, and I will literally just buzz, 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 shoo. And I look at it, and if there's a name on there that I just feel, I'll call it. And more times than not, I've had them go, wow, I was just thinking about you. How weird is that? Not very in my world, but it's really cool. In fact, I'll send that challenge out to anybody on the call or watching the recording. Sometimes just go through your contacts and call somebody out of the blue. If nothing else, leave them a message or, but we're not close enough to people these days. Everybody gets scattered, and it used to be that we would get a random letter in the mail, if anybody can remember back to those days. And how cool it was to go to the mailbox and not have bills, but actually have something addressed to you from somebody that you know that was just hey, just catching up, was thinking about you, hope you're doing well. Nowadays, people would be like, Bob just sent us a letter to say hi. Is he okay? I wish we could normalize that again.
I think Facebook, did something to the to the world when it it has you have all these friends, and you've got 1,000 friends. You don't have the energy or time to be able to maintain 1,000 relationships. So, but they might have, by changing the terminology to friend rather than contact, they might have, I don't know, landed on a foreign shore that maybe, like you said, that maybe needs to be explored. About friends and friendships, and but I have 2,000 friends. No, you don't. You have 2,000 acquaintances, and you can maintain about 10 or 12, basically. That's how much energy you usually have.
And a lot of people still don't know, and if you guys can spread the word out, I would appreciate it. But quite a while back now, I got hacked on Facebook and got the zipperhead that hacked me, violated all the community standards, and got my profile shut down. I had it since 2008 and had just over 3,600 friends, contacts, people that signed up. But one of the things that I did that I really truly miss is what part of my morning routine was going through the birthdays every day to wish everybody a happy birthday. And I started Motivational Mondays, and then we were doing
Funny Fridays.
Yep, Friday Funnies. And I still get people going, why did you quit doing Friday Funnies? I'm like, and then I tell them, they're like, oh, the fleas of 1,000 camels infest their underwear. Urgh. That's the nice version. So, yeah, if you run into anybody that knows me, let them know. It was not by choice, and I've tried getting back on three or four times now. And every time they recognize me, oh, no soup for you. You violate community standard. I'm like, it wasn't me, you flippin' bot. But enough of that. I'm over it. I'm not bitter or anything. Lenora.
Something that I actually started to do was you can go on Magical Wonderful Amazon and you can get a box of cards. And this one is titled You Are Important and You Are Valued. And so there are cards in there and you can write a little message. And I think they're so perfect. And I do send these out to people, and they're teeny tiny, the size of your palms. So in case you're wanting to send like a pick-me-up or something, I highly recommend things like this, because I love getting cards in the mail. Absolutely love it. And I got these with the intention to get better at sending cards, because I love when cards show up at my door.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because another thing that I've done for years, and I don't know if I have an example or not. He's off camera. What is he doing? Oh my gosh. Well, I bought Hallmark card maker software for my computer. And I got lucky and I bought a couple of cases of this amazing cardstock. And I design my own cards and print them out right on my computer. And I get to customize them, and the amazing Amazon has envelopes specifically for 8.5 by 11 folded in half. And so it's super simple to whip out a card, and You can update so that you get a new selection. In fact, I'm doing the update one of these days. They just sent out a new update for $19. You get a whole new slew of designs. So there's another way to stay in touch and send out cards and personalize things. And they have so many different designs and topics and all the above. So there's something in there. Anybody else got anything cool they would like to share from the last 7 days before we get into the topics of the week? Yes, no, maybe so. Okie doke. Well, if you're new to Triple T, the way it works, it's a 2-hour show. First hour, I do my best to get through 3 topics that I've had given to me by the universe and my squirrels. Speaking of squirrels, squirrel! You will notice throughout the show that, yes, we have all gotten accustomed to our squirrels, and topics can be brought up and questions can be asked, and squirrels can lead us down rabbit holes, and we can go all sorts of different directions. So if you hear somebody talking about squirrels, that's what it is. And my squirrels know squirrels who are related to squirrels who invite squirrels. So it can get a little squirrely around here. But topics of the week: thermostats, gassing, and time. Thermostats, and I think in this day and age, pretty much everybody should have a good idea or a picture in their mind of what a thermostat is. And we've all messed with them, and we've all had parents and people going, "Don't touch the thermostat." Ugh. You're like, "But I'm hot." And the famous line from one of the parents, "Shut the door, you're letting out, what are you trying to do, heat the whole planet?" And the dumb ones had come back with the remark, "Yeah, like that'll never work, Dad, because of thermodynamic." Okay, I'll be quiet now. But thermostats are also a very good metaphor for a lot of different things in the work that we do here. And one of the most common ones that I work with my clients is the financial thermostat. And this concept was brought to me probably right around 2009, 2010. And I wish it would have been brought up to me back when I was like 5. And the idea of it is, if you think of a thermostat for both heating and cooling, we have our comfort zone. And some of you have heard this before, but it's come up enough lately that I thought that the universe was asking me to readdress it. So back to thermostats. In this day and age, depending on where you live and how old your house is, there's a pretty good chance that you have HVAC, air and heating, ventilation, air conditioning. And so you've got a furnace and an AC, air conditioner. That way, when it gets hot enough for your comfort zone to be imposed upon, the AC will kick in, bring that temperature down. And then when time changes and we go into a different part of the year, it starts getting cold at night. And so when that temperature drops down, what happens? Furnace kicks on, heat hits. Well, this metaphor was applied to finances as well. Everybody has their financial thermostat. The interesting part is very few people realize it. They have no idea what it's about, what it does, or who set the settings, or how long the settings have been there. A number of people will say, well, I tried making money once, and I just did, and they hit that upper setting of the thermostat, of their financial thermostat. The AC came on and cooled off their jets, and they just kind of kicked back away from making the money. This this phenomena also applies to people who have won the lottery. And the lottery has been around long enough now that it's been easily studied. And I don't remember the exact number, but it's extremely high. The number of lottery winners who within 2 to 3 years will be right back to where they were before they won the lottery. And a lot of people are like, well, they just didn't know how to manage their money, or da-da-da-da-da. Ironically, some of the winners have been in the money industry, bankers or finance, whatever. What it was their mental, financial thermostat. They had gone over what they believed they deserved. Even though they were dreaming about it and they were buying the lottery tickets so that one day they could be a multimillionaire and never have to work again, all the above, they never adjusted their financial thermostat for the weight or the heat of that much money. And so their internal system turned on the AC, cooled it off until they were back down to what their financial thermostat was set at. And with a majority of the clients that I work with, guess when their financial thermostat was set? Anybody got a guess, an idea? When was it set?
When they were little.
Typically between the ages of 5 and 17. And the ones in their teens was typically because of the group they ran around with. Preteen was almost always parents. And oftentimes I'll ask, they're like, I keep trying to make money and I can't make money and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, okay, out of curiosity, how much money did your parents make? And if it's below what the kind of lifestyle they're living right now, I'll go, how much did your best friend's parents make? And usually somewhere in that range is where they set the thermostat to what they believed they were worth and what they deserved to make. Now, on the opposite side of the thermostat is the furnace, the heater. That one, you can usually tell where people have said it. The upper one is the mystery one for the most part. The lower one, however, that one's pretty easy. You look around and you see people's lifestyles. Their lifestyles are typically set by their lower financial thermostat setting. Because when their savings, their net worth, everything gets to a certain level, that's when the furnace kicks in and sets the fire to their feet, and they're like, oh my God, I gotta make some money. Gotta make some money. And that's when they're finding a second part-time job, or they're scrambling, they're selling some stuff, they're working overtime, they're putting in the work, they're busting their butt because the fire is on under their feet. They got to get it done. And then as soon as they get back above that lower setting, now the furnace can shut off for a little bit. I'm back to my comfort zone, and I don't have to work as hard. So you ask yourself, what's the difference, bless you, what's the difference between people who start with nothing, especially like immigrants or something? They come here, and a great example that's easy to follow, Gary Vaynerchuk. His parents came here with nothing. And his pops busted his rump to open up a wine, basically a liquor store that specialized in wine for the most part. And Gary, who was right there in the family business from as young as he can remember, helping out in the store, and worked his rump off to make it a very successful store. And then left when he was, I believe, 35, with basically nothing. Because he built it for the family. And when he left at 35, he had taught everybody and the employees how to do what he did, and went off on his own and built himself into the multimillionaire empire that he is today. If you could take a look at his financial thermostat, what do you think his thermostat would look like today? I'm pretty sure the numbers would astonish some people. Because he said even when he was a kid, he knew he didn't want to live like other people around him. He had to hustle. Not 9 to 5, not Monday through Friday. Everywhere, anyway, all day. And another one, I'm going to go out on a limb here because of the time and day and age that we're in, but Trump. Whether you like him or not, whether you hate him, whether you got TDS or you absolutely adore him, what do you think his financial thermostat, and what has he taught his kids for a financial thermostat? Because there was a time, you can look it up, where he tanked, bankrupt, like big time, yes, millions.
I was going to say multiple times too.
Yes. And yet he was like, nope, because that financial thermostat didn't have a tiny little Bunsen burner. That thing was fueled by a jet. And he just, nope, I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm not a homeless, and he would build it up. And if you took, say, his son, and told his son that he had to live on our lower thermostat setting, what do you think the response would be? Why would I want to be homeless? And we're like, we're not homeless. I got a house. No, no, that's my car payment. That's what it takes to that's what it takes to heat my pool. And you guys live on that? And it's not an arrogance, it's a financial thermostat. That is their comfort zone. And I had another download on it. There are so many other places where we could use the metaphor of a comfort zone. Anybody got any ideas of what other thermostats we could apply to our life?
Relationships.
So many of my relationship clients realize that their relationship thermostats were set so low that it affected everything: self-esteem, self-reliance, who they would pick, because the lower setting was set so low that anybody had the opportunity to access their life. While we're thinking about that, when you think about yourself, your friends or your family or relatives, siblings, and you start looking at their lives through the lens of thermostats, what do you notice? When you look back at reflecting on your life from the past, has there been any change? If so, when did you go in and make the adjustments? And this isn't just for people that are working 9 to 5. One of my business clients that came to me came to me for corporate coaching, because they had been hired by this company, the fifth company they'd worked for, to build the output to a certain level per month. And if they could get the output up to this level, they had a buyer that would purchase the company for an amazing sum. To his credit, he recognized that all of his the 5 other companies that he worked for, he had been able to quickly bring them up to a certain level. And then he ended up leaving the companies because no matter how much he worked, how hard he tried, he couldn't get them past that level. And so we went in and checked the financial thermostat, and magically, the glass ceiling, the top level, was the amount that he had brought the other 5 companies up to. And so we did a little research and found out that his 17-year-old was the last one to adjust the thermostat. And so I brought him back to his 17-year-old to have a little discussion with him and asked him why he had set the thermostat at that level. Why do you think the 17-year-old set it at that level? Anybody want to take a guess? Because when he was 17, that was a lot of money, a lot of money. And anybody that had more than that amount of money was greedy and just selfish. And he didn't want to be a greedy, selfish person. And so every time he got close to that number, the 17-year-old would make sure that the AC got turned on and he was no longer able to move forward. And I actually watched him argue with his 17-year-old self for almost 5 minutes. And so what I had to do was run a little scenario with a 17-year-old about what would happen, what's the highest amount of money that he thinks that he could make. And then I made him triple it. And we future paced it, and he found out that he didn't turn into a greedy, selfless person. He became more of who he was. And he was able to help many people that he wanted to help in the past, but he simply didn't have the funds to properly help them. And so when we came out of that session, he was now able to get up to that goal quickly. Now, there were a few other things that we did with the company itself, but readjusting his financial thermostat is what allowed him to push forward with the company and quickly achieve the goals that they were looking for. And they were able to sell the company for the price that they were promised. Any questions, downloads, ahas, epiphanies on that stuff? Mark?
Yeah, again, I want to mention another venue where you could, begin to, but like the work we do, okay?
Yep.
I find a lot of my fellow colleagues, practitioners, somebody comes in and they're depressed, okay? So their thermostat is to get them to that level where they're not depressed anymore, or they're not anxious, or they're not angry, rather than, change the thermostat to basically, see how high they can fly. See if they're, again, a lot of what they call these days positive psychology is about not just, bringing the thermostat, up to a certain level, but to give yourself Again, to see greater vistas, I guess. And if you, like I said, because if all you're doing is, getting people back to zero or getting back to where the thermostat clicks off, have you really done all you could possibly do for your clients? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's why one of the things that I did with that corporate client, we had the 17-year-old take on a new job, a new role. And with the new settings, we updated the thermostat. We gave it a strong alarm system. If the temperature started dropping at any temperature, anytime the temperature started dropping, the alarm would go off. And the 17-year-old's new job was to make sure that nobody came in and messed with the thermostat. Because he was now on board, he saw the future of what it could do for not only them, but all the people around them. Holly.
Hopefully you can hear me. I've been having some tech issues.
There you are.
Oh, good. Okay. So a couple things that popped into my head. So one of them is the importance, this would be kind of on the high end, the importance of your healthy boundaries can make a huge difference, because if you don't have healthy boundaries, the thermostats of the people around you might affect you as much as your own thermostat. One of the things that came into my mind, we were talking about lottery winners. And I heard a lot of, coworkers were discussing, hey, if I won the lottery and I won $1 million, I'd give this much to everybody and in the department. And I'm like, I love that you're generous like that. But the problem is also they felt like if anybody else in the department won, they should give it to them. And they don't know how to do math with large numbers. Because if, by the time you've paid federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security income tax, I worked out once that would be roughly 50%. So you win $1 million, you get to keep $500,000. And if you give, say you have 1,000 people that are closest to you, and you include yourself in that, and you spread that evenly between everybody, you could give everybody $500 each. So you give everything away. You don't keep anything for yourself, and you give $500 each to the 1,000 people that are closest to you. And most of those people are going to say, you just won $1 million. How come I only get $500? Yep. And so a lot of people overestimate how much money you have, how much money you owe them. And you don't really owe them. You want to be generous, but so anyway, so my first thought was, or another thought I had is, like my parents, bless them, whatever, but they've owned their house for a very long time. They've been retired for a while. And so they calculated the cost of living several years ago. And then when my, siblings struggle with expenses, they don't understand it, because what they think the cost of living is hasn't been updated for decades. Yep. And once again, they mean well and all that. This is not about judging them, but you have to remember that the people. So I guess my first thing is, when you're talking about the top end of your thermostat, when other people feel entitled to your money or feel entitled to judge you for needing more money, take that with a grain of salt. They could be completely wrong. They are violating your boundaries, and it's not okay. And it's okay to say no. And it's okay to say you don't know what you're talking about. And so that can make a huge difference to the top end. And then on the bottom end, one of the things that I'd never thought about before, I've always thought about the bottom being as high as possible. Well, maybe not as high as possible, but, decently high, was all good. And there were no negative sides to it. But it was when we applied it to relationships that this came into my mind. I've known some people that are so desperate for a relationship, their bottom thermostat says, I can't be single. Yep. And so, it's good to have, this says that I need to get out there and make money, or, whatever it may be. But if you're in a place where maybe you've been in a coma for 3 months and now you can't walk and you need, 6 months to recover before you should be out there making money, or, once again, you broke up with somebody and your thermostat says, I can't be single. If your thermostat goes into desperation, or the other thing I thought about was the fraud triangle. One of the 3 things in the fraud triangle is basically that desperation. What are your limits of what you're not willing to do when your thermostat comes up? I think it's very important to think about that, of just because my thermostat is screaming at me and the alarm's going off, doesn't mean I should be willing to do anything to try to get that need met. Doesn't mean I shouldn't say I'm okay. But you might need to take a step back and say, I'm not going to be desperate. I'm not going to compromise my integrity. And I might have to think about different ways to approach this till I find the right way.
Exactly. And A, that's part of why we miss having you here, because of your insights. Two, that's why on my protocol for relationships, triple P, I have people, they have to agree to not be in a committed relationship for a year. Because to me, it's the same as if you're financially hitting that bottom setting and you have to put your nose to the grindstone, you got to get in, start making money hard. You have to dedicate yourself to a stretch to get yourself back up out of the funk, out of the bottom, out of the basement, whatever you want, whatever metaphor you want to use. And relationships are no different. I've had a number of clients coming to me, and they've already had, like I should talk. I don't even know how many relationships before I finally figured out that I had to change some stuff, and finally got it straight and was ready to meet somebody. And just got a text from one of our listeners out in YouTube land. Says, many people's financial thermostat is upside down because they keep spending more money than they are making. Yeah, that's because the lowest setting is so low that they never feel urgency. The furnace is broken. They know they have to work, but a lot of them were never taught to save, and the gap between the bottom and the higher setting is very slender. They work hard. Oh, I got money. Oh, the AC kicks on. I get to spend it. And the AC keeps running until they're like, nah, I'm broke. I drank the rent money. I bought this Gucci purse and I can't afford to make the car payment. Oh, woe was me. Broken thermostat. So this week, take some time and apply that metaphor to as many different things as it pops in. And notice how many different areas you can actually apply that to. Your relationship, your work, when you look at your bank statement, when you look at your credit card statement, when you look at belief systems, you can see where a lot of these set in. Believe me, when it hit me, it hit me hard. I was in, when I ended up in San Diego, my financial thermostat was basically smashed. I didn't have any drive other than I knew I had to make a bunch of money to send it back to Minnesota to try and save my property. But I didn't have the drive to make beyond what my absolute obligation was. I was in survival mode. And when I was able to walk away from the property, my drive went even lower because I knew how little I could survive on. And that's basically all I wanted to do. Did I have enough money for gas and food and rent? Ta-da! I'm good. And so I was charging a third or a quarter of what I should have been for the work I was providing. Because it was enough to pay the bills and do some stuff. So, just like that, we got 10 minutes to go. Any more quick comments on how's epiphanies before we try to fit 2? Moving on. Oogie doogie. We're going to move into gassing. And I'm sure somebody out there thought it was about eating too many burritos and being around bad guys who, yes. No, not that kind of gassing. Oh, another comment from Dave out in YouTube land. Yeah. Bought the Coach purse, but didn't have any money to put in it. Uh-huh. I've known a number of those people that spent the money on the bling and then ate ramen noodles because they couldn't afford food. And they couldn't eat the bling. But back to gassing. This one came from an Instagram post that I thought was really interesting. And it was on a topic that I've worked with a number of people on, which is the idea of people are always thinking stuff about me. People are thinking about me. I know that person was thinking about me. I know that, and the person who posted it set up a demonstration at one of his talks. And he called this attractive lady up front. And he said, now I'm going to ask a question, and I want you all to please answer honestly. We need to have this honestly. And so he asked the lady, what's that lady over there thinking about you? And she looked at the lady, she goes, she's judging me because I got to get up here. And he says, ma'am, what were you thinking about the second that I pointed you out? And the lady goes, I was thinking I liked her earrings. Oh, you, sir, what were you thinking about? Or what's that guy right there thinking about? I don't know, he probably thinking I'm too skinny. Sir, what were you thinking about? I thought she was pretty brave to get up there. What's that guy thinking about you? He was judging me. Sir, what were you thinking about when I asked? He goes, to be honest with you, I was a little triggered, and so I was thinking about how I would react. So you weren't even thinking about her at all? No. He goes, oftentimes, nobody's thinking about you. You've got too much stuff in your own head to be thinking about other people. It's self-gaslighting. And the more time we sit there and go around in public gaslighting ourselves with, oh, this person's thinking that, or this person judged me, or this or that, all we're doing is bringing negative energy on ourself from ourself. Now, don't get me wrong. We know that as we go around our daily whatever, and especially if you're like me, I like to people watch. Yeah, there are times when I'll look at them and I'll do that judgment and stuff like that. But that's when I have the leisurely time to do it. And even then, I'm caught up on all the other stuff running through my head that it's more of a distraction than it is a judgment or anything like that. And I don't spend a whole lot of time anymore worrying about what somebody might be thinking about me. In fact, if they're thinking about me, fine, I'll take the energy. If it's negative, I'll convert it into something worthwhile anyway. Mark.
Yeah, I've dealt with a few people, like that. Oh, that person was, staring at me, thinking bad thoughts about it. And I just look at them incredulously. Like, well, you have to understand, I'm looking at you right now, but I'm actually seeing my garage door. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I said, I tell them, I try to, undercut it. You're not that important. And
There.
neither am I. The people are going to be spending time and energy. You're just not that important, And so whenever you think that thought that someone's looking at you, they're probably looking through you. They're seeing something else. So, and I try to, I try to short circuit that, that negative thought. Oh, the person is staring at me. They no. 99.9% of the time, no, because you're just not that important, and neither am I.
Yeah.
That people would be thinking bad thoughts about me. So, just that's how I deal with it when that comes up.
But and to go back to what we talked about at the very beginning tonight, that's why I think the impact, especially now, is so monstrous when you contact somebody out of the blue. And if you really want to blow their mind, again, you send them a handwritten or a personalized card or letter or something. Because the other part, nobody thinks about me. Nobody cares about me. That's another form of gaslighting. Everybody thinks I'm dumb. Major gaslighting. Everybody? Really? And if you can take the time to create that story, why don't you take the time to create a better story? Everybody thinks I'm nice. And then give them a reason to think that. But again, to receive a random call, just called to say hi, see how you're doing. A random letter. Just saw this, thought I'd send it to you. Yes, and Elijah, for those of you that are watching on YouTube or watching the video or the replay, you don't get to see what's in the comments, so feel free to join us. But Elijah put in here, I always use people's names in Christmas and New Year's messages so they know it's not a mass sent message. That's why it took me so long to send out birthday messages, because I didn't do a copy and paste and rip through them quick. I always made sure people's names were in there. And then Holly also put in here that Dr. Amen posted, At 18, you're constantly worried what everyone thinks about you. At 40, you stop caring about what others think about you. And at 60, you realize no one was really thinking about you in the first place. Or the other version, you realize you might be thinking about them, that they weren't really thinking about you in the first place. Yes, that was what that whole experiment was about, was this young lady had gaslit herself so bad about what everybody was thinking about her with her insecurities, and she didn't get one of them right. And then found out that the one guy that she thought was judging her was honest enough to go, sorry, I was in my own head about my own shit. I wasn't thinking about you at all. And now I'm thinking, that's how quickly the first hour went. Right there, bada bing, we're done with the first hour. And how ironic the topic that we didn't get to was time. Because we ran out of time. So if you're watching for the first time, watching the recording for the first time, this is when the magic happens. We switch over to the second hour where it's open mic, open platform. Anybody can bring up a topic or a question, and I let all the people on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. And if everybody is answered and I think that there's still something to add to it, that's when I add my 2 centavos. So we'll see how quickly we can get into the first question of the evening. Who has the starter question? Renee?
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question. This was actually a conversation I had with Pam last night, and we were talking about different techniques for addressing trauma.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've noticed is that if you can get essentially the meat suit more involved, so you either do pillow therapy, something that gets the body physically involved, it seems to work better.
Yes.
Now, the thing that I've noticed is that there's a lot of people who do not want to act out. And even Pam's guilty of this. Like I did a session with her and she's like, oh, I don't want to put him in the chair. I don't want any confrontation. I've already dealt with this. Yeah. And so what I put in there was in the chair wasn't the individual. I put in line. And then she put him in the chair at some point and started beating the shit out of him. So, but she was having the same issue with one of her clients, is that you end up with these people who do not really want to get physically engaged, but, even just talking to her about her client, it was obvious that it would help her. So my question for everyone, I know this is long-winded, how do you get your clients that certain techniques would be so beneficial for them? What steps do you take to kind of get them to the point where they're able to go there?
Awesome question. Holly.
So great question, by the way. My first response is always honor what the client is saying. My job is to facilitate the process and to let them know the benefits of things, but to also say, but you know what? If you don't want to go there, I'm going to facilitate whatever, whatever is right for you. And so a couple of ways this has shown up for me. One that I always I'll never forget this one is there was somebody I'm like, they need to get involved. Why aren't they getting physically involved? And when I brought them out of trance, they genuinely thought they were physically moving their body. So one thing you have to remember is some people lose access to their body when they go into trance, and they genuinely think they are moving around. And they got the benefit of moving around, even though I couldn't physically see them doing it. But, sometimes another one is, they're just afraid to go there. If they know, you know what, I'm going to honor whatever's right for you. Sometimes they just need those first couple times just going into trance first, doing it without movement, before they're willing to step up to do it. Maybe they need to do it in increments because being in trance already freaks them out. And so the idea of I'm going to be in trance and I'm going to be stepping around and moving around and acting like a fool in front of this person that, my hypnotist or whatever, you build that trust through the first few. And maybe by the end, they're saying, hey, you know what? I got benefit out of listening to him last time. Maybe if I go even deeper into it, I'll get benefit out of that. And then if you really, really care, now, once again, this turns into am I honoring what my patient wants, or am I trying to impose what I think they should want? But, gosh, what's it called? My mind just blanked, but where you have them rank it on a scale of 1 to 10. So say that they're saying they don't want to do it, and then they say, okay. Yeah, that whole process of, if you want to move even less, I can help you do that. But, if you wanted to move for your reasons, what would be, so you could consider going down that. But once again, asking yourself, am I pushing this issue because it's about me? Or am I pushing this issue because, they actually need it? So always being honest with yourself and saying, you know what, maybe this is ultimately where they need to end up, but maybe they're not ready to go there yet, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I was respecting Pam when I was doing her session with it. That's why I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not going to put him in the chair, but lying's an issue. Let's put lying in the chair. It's abstract. We can have a conversation with lying. And probably within the first few minutes. And like I said, I was surprised on how well that worked. And when she came out, she was surprised too, because she ended up, she decided to put the liar in the chair. I did not. And I was just wondering if other people had, and I was respecting her boundaries. She asked not to put him in the chair and I didn't. But we ended up going that route anyway, and it worked really well. And I guess what I'm looking for is, has anybody else had that experience? And if so, what kind of techniques have they used to get the client there where it was on their terms? Because you're right. I don't ever want to impede upon the client's comfort level, because comfort in going somewhere, because that is a, kind of stepping over a line.
Holly.
Sorry, one other thought I had when you were saying that. Another thing I like to do is give them kind of a comprehensive list, kind of like a double bind situation, where no matter what they pick, they're following my instructions. So, I can say, and by the way, we're allowed to pivot if it feels like you want to go somewhere different later, that's fine. But so say I'm doing, put them in the chair or whatever. I can say, so just so you know, we could put lots of different people in the chair. We could put actual people in the chair. We could put abstract concepts in the chair. We could put you in the chair. We could put them in the chair. Or if you prefer, if you think that there'd be more value, you don't even have to address them directly. You can, bring down guardian angels, or, I'll know what they want, whether it's guardian angels or just energy or, whatever, but whatever their protective energy is, and say, you could send them off and tell them they're no longer have power in your life. Or, so what would be for first impression, what would be best for you to do right now, knowing that as we continue this process, if you want to do something else, we could also circle back and do that too. And then that way,
I like that.
They've picked something on my list. They follow directions. They can't fail.
Another great answer.
I really like that. Thank you, Holly.
And Elijah put something in the comments, subjective units of distress, the SOD scale. Elijah, you want to?
I just thought that's what Holly was talking about. Like, is it like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10? That's what they call the scale.
Yep.
While I'm unmuted, I will say that everybody's willing to go there. You might first of all, pause. You might not like this answer. Warning. Okay. Everybody's willing to go there if you are willing to show them their pain. And it's never really happened to me where somebody wasn't willing to go there. and that's because I spend the vast majority of my time with people talking about and clearly defining the problem. The solution part and the flip to get them from the problem to the solution is actually very quick in pretty much all cases. I spend most time defining the problem. I need to know where the boundary of it is, because once you know where that is, then you know what is everything else that is not the problem.
No, I do like that answer. And I guess I want to follow it up with another question. Do you do any videos of your techniques online where you demonstrate this?
So I did quite a lot. I don't have them published, if that's what you're asking, but I did do live classes, quite a lot, for a good few years actually, and I kind of stopped doing them. I plan to do them again, but at the moment the answer would be no. If you want demonstrations, then you're welcome to reach out to me, and I can either find something from the library or just show you directly over Zoom. I don't mind doing that.
Thank you, Elijah.
Highly recommended. Anybody that wants to learn some stuff, definitely get a hold of him. One thing that I was going to bring up, go ahead, Lenora, please.
I was just gonna say I've had the great opportunity to practice with Elijah and train with him, and also with TJ. When I started to get into this work, I pretty much employed TJ as my own personal coach for quite a bit of time, and I fired off about 14,000 questions, 16 ways from Sunday, and then he started Triple T, and then I started to talk to Elijah, and Elijah's insights are also really, really powerful. Having conversations with peers, but having conversations with people who have been practicing. Holly's an exceptional practitioner also. Just great, phenomenal insights when you get to have conversations with people who've had multiple clients and they can offer additional things. Mark, I know I got to meet Mark just probably, I think like 2 years, Mark. I think but we haven't Zoomed yet. But I know he has great experiences with his clients also. So those were just the little nuggets that I wanted to add.
Thank you. One thing that I was going to add is I also came up with the construct of the control room that I lead people into. And inside of the control room, I have something called the hologram deck, where they can come up with all sorts of stuff and have conversations with people and deliver we can have things, the karma police deliver the penalties in the most appropriate ways. And I leave that up to them to decide what's appropriate. And some of them, whoo, there is a butt whooping delivered at a high level. And some of them, simply having the karma police show up to let the other person know that what they did was inappropriate is enough. I'm not here to judge what is appropriate for to make them feel like they've been justified or things have been taken care of. As long as they feel like it's been taken care of, win-win. Lenore.
I was also going to say, I think there is a level of trust and rapport that can be established. Some people won't go there, but to pay attention to other things. And I think it's also, for example, for me, there was a really big block where I felt like I was a freaking crazy person when TJ was walking me through some things and like say it in this voice or say it in that voice or like, no, move your body. And I couldn't because I was too busy judging myself in that aspect. That being said, once you get that client past that barrier, it does become even more impactful. And I think that ongoing rapport is very, very important. But also, I wanted to point out something that I thought was from some YouTube videos or from some practitioners. They make it seem like, oh, 3 sessions and the person was totally fine and that they went on their merry happily ever after way. And that was not my experience. So when I needed more than 3 sessions working on something, I was very surprised, thinking like, oh, I thought this was kind of like the issue would be gone. And that wasn't the case. And that's not definitely, it's not always the case. Some issues are easily wrapped up in a few sessions, and other ones do take time. They do evolve. And you might feel like you've been working with this person. It's just kind of been slow. And then all of a sudden they explode and they have this great session of massive progress. And you see this literal quantum leap for them. So everybody's very different. I don't know what your thoughts are. I do know from what I had derived from YouTube and from other trainings, and being on the other aspect as a trainer, people will carefully word things to come across as if this is like a one-hit wonder and they were completely perfect. There are other times where people are having really great experiences. So everybody's just a bit different. And I like the idea of being as helpful as I can and taking them as far as I can in the time that we are together. That is my responsibility as the practitioner. And that's as much as I can do. I can't push them further and I can't do it for them.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Like I said, I've had, and actually what was funny was the technique that we were going through before she met up with her client was the karma police. And she ended up using it on 2 clients. The one that she just kind of randomly threw it in. It's like, hey, let's see how this works. He loved it. He had a great result, really happy with it. And then the gal that she thought would work really well on didn't like it at all. And what I found interesting was this was kind of a situation that I've had with some folks practicing is one, they don't want to dish out the karma, which I found interesting because I never really had that issue before until like literally within the last month. It's never been an issue. And then of course you encounter, it's like, this is interesting. And luckily I had somebody there. It's like, oh no, leave it up to the universe. Have the universe dish it out if they don't want to come up with their own ways. I'm like, oh, okay. But then you end up with a situation where they don't want anything to do with the punishment of that individual whatsoever. And it's like, well, this is interesting. How do I navigate this response? Because, I don't want to give up anything, but, obviously what had occurred to her, there definitely needs to be some resolve. And it seems like that would be the most effective method to address it. But then you end up with these people. It's like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with the punishment of this individual that has done horrific things to me. And I'm just, I guess kind of to divert the question a little more is like, have you dealt with that before? And if so, how did you deal with it?
I love your questions, Renee.
Yes. Holly.
I'm waiting for Holly to go. I'll come back.
All right.
No, Holly, go.
So I will say I was that person. I know Elijah kind of posted something similar. I was the person that did not want to dish the karma out either. And I also run into a lot of people that were very hesitant to do chair therapy, even just because of a similar issue. And so I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. So first of all, that's where I kind of developed the split into three technique. I don't know what you'd call it, but where I give them the option. So like, let's say the person who hurt them was dad, and dad's got the side of the person who hurt me, but dad's also the person who, you know, stayed up all night with me, helping me do my homework that one night and told off my bully. And so I can't go after dad. I still love him. I still care about him, you know. So the first thing I do, like in chair therapy, is I will divide dad into three people. So one person is, you know, the good person, the person that loved me and, you know, whatever. And then I'll have the person who is injured and wounded and maybe possibly uneducated. And so maybe they didn't mean bad, but they were reacting from a place of being hurt. And then I'll have the actual evil person. And I'll just say, you know, I don't know what the amounts are going to be, but go ahead and allow the energy from that person to divide into these three avatars so we can handle them separately. And then, you know, you could talk to good dad and thank him for all he did. You could talk to wounded dad and say, you know what? I'm not even going to be able to get through to this person. I didn't come up with this one. This is actually one of my clients that came up with this, but the idea, the home of ancestral healing, it was, I'm going to send injured dad to the home of ancestral healing where he can get the care he needs and, you know, whatever he needs. And then if there's anything left in evil dad, now I can beat the crap out of him and not feel like I'm beating the crap out of good dad at the same time. Yeah. So, and then something similar I do with the karma police. And once again, you know, it's about honoring where your client wants to go. If they don't want to go there, they don't want to go there. But one of the things I'll do if I am sensing any kind of hesitation, before I even get there, I start framing it. And I'll say, okay, you see all of this energy that they gave you? It came from, you know, that's actually their energy. And when they gave it to you, it got warped and turned into something it's not supposed to be. And when you have it, they can't heal and you can't heal. So if you'd like at this point, now, once again, this is not going to be the right metaphor for someone who really wants to send it back, you know, send the karma police and show them what's what. It's going to depend on who you're working with. But you could just say, you know what? If you're willing to right now, you can release that energy and send it back to them in the way it's supposed to go back to them. And the way that they will reabsorb it is between, you know, them and the universe, whatever that may be, whatever it takes for them to reabsorb it. But you are at least giving it back to them so they can heal properly and so that you can heal properly. And also, if you gave them any of your energy, go ahead and call that back to you now and experience that process of it coming back into you. So that way you've reframed it as me giving them their karma back is not, you know, me not giving them their karma back is selfish. It's going to hurt them. Because that's where a lot of people are coming from is, once again, you know, this person may have hurt me, but I still love them and I don't want to be responsible for getting them into trouble. But that's not what this is about. This is about if they ever want to heal, they have to have it back. So anyway.
It's just a returning of energy. Oh, thank you so much for that. I really like that. I'm definitely putting that one in my toolbox. Thank you.
Awesome. Lenora.
Brent had said once when he was walking me through something, Brent Baum, he's the one that created holographic memory resolution. And he had said, if you take this for them, you're a thief. And you're not the type of person that steals. And that one really was very, very impactful for me to frame it that in that way. Because it wasn't even a responsibility. It was, oh no, like the Catholic girl version part of my brain lit up and was like, oh man, I can't steal. That's so bad. And flipped. So just in case you need another one in that toolbox.
Yeah. I really do like that. Like I said, it literally, I have not encountered it at all. And I've been doing this for a few years now. And here within like the last month, it's just like, you don't want to go there? I'm like, I know the backstory. I feel like you do, you know, like if you vent it, it'd be a lot better. Although I noticed that putting abstract in the chair, that I don't seem to get resistance on that. Like, oh, I'm having financial issues. Let's put money in the chair. and then they'll work through that, and then, or I'll put the situation in the chair. So then when they are venting, it's not like they're attacking somebody, they're attacking the situation they got put into. It's like that's what they're venting out. But
That's super cool.
but like I said, I just find it really interesting that it seems to be a theme that just seems to keep on reoccurring here within like the last month. And I literally have never dealt with it before up to this point.
That's the
Way to keep growing, girl.
joys of time in the saddle and metaphors. Elijah.
Hello again. So, few things, 3 actually. I wrote in the chat that I am one of those people who does not like giving the karma back or dishing anything out when I am the client. But I can tell you what did work when I was a client one time. The time came when it was, like it's not that I wasn't willing to go there. I was there, but the moment came when it was time to dish the punishment. And I instinctively said to my therapist, my coach, that I don't want to hit and I don't want them to be hit. And she said to me, oh no, this is not for hitting. This is just a giant vacuum that's going to suck all the emotion out of you so you'll be able to think more clearly once the emotions are gone. And she just kind of did this huge construct of like a vacuum cleaner that was just sucking emotion out of me. And once I was no longer, I'm still there, I'm still in the moment, I still know this person's done me wrong, but my emotion had kind of been taken away and I was able to think much more clearly, and then we were able to find a suitable way to proceed forward. So that's one, that it might just be way too emotional for them and you might want to just curb that intensity slightly in that moment. Mm-hmm. That's what worked for me. Secondly, I absolutely love and preach what Holly was saying about the multiple dissociations. I do a double dissociation a lot. In her case, she described as a triple dissociation. And really, when someone says double dissociation, all you have to think about is it's 2 dissociations. It doesn't really have to be like, oh, you dissociate one thing from the person and then another thing from the first thing. It's just any multiple dissociations would be a double, and if you did 3, then it would be a triple. Often the 2 dissociations that I do is, one is the feeling, the emotion, or the visual representation of the emotion, and the other one would be the self-image of themselves when they were going through the pain or at their worst moment. That tends to work really, really well. And finally, I think most likely, in my experience, the vast majority of cases, people, even though they may outwardly express that they don't want to go there, at some point before they said that out loud, they already went there on the inside. And so it becomes a matter of training oneself to spot when they go there or when they approach the edge of being there, and then willing to, just send their attention in a particular direction so that they do go there. So what I did for quite a while was a lot of self-hypnosis and self-work, where I would ask my own unconscious mind to make signals more obvious for me to see so that I could see them better. Little micro movements, micro reactions, pupil dilations, changes in breathing, skin coloration, all kinds of things like that, which would give me the clue of where they are much more obviously when I was practicing with people. And that helps me a lot in terms of just my noticing things better and knowing when to poke and when to prod and when to pull back and when to pace and when to lead and all that kind of thing. So that could be a self growth training thing that you might want to do.
No, I really like that. No, I always forget about doing it to myself, right? I'm always focused on trying to help someone else, but then, instill the traits and the tools you need in yourself so you can do a better job. No, I really do like
The first thing,
that.
not the first thing, but on the first day of my first ever hypnosis training, which was with David Snyder, he said to us, we're going to cheat. We're going to use hypnosis to get better at hypnosis. And it's never left me and it's been 10 years now, and I'm always using hypnosis to get better at hypnosis.
Yeah, I should ingrain that in
That is a
myself.
good one.
And then a metaphor that I like using for the pillow therapy is, the old-fashioned hand pumps for like a water well. Yep. Is that your hand is that lever. And so when you're smacking it down, what you're doing is you're pumping out all that negative energy out of you. And so when they're doing it, it's not necessarily a person. They're just pumping out everything that they don't want.
Awesome. Holly.
Man, loving everything everybody's sharing. So many insights. I know I keep talking, but one other thing that's popping into my head, I would be very careful about using this one.
Okay.
Because there's certain situations where it works perfectly, but there's certain situations where it might make it worse. But if you're sensing that somebody, let's get back to the dad let's say when dad got drunk, he was really awful, but when dad was sober, he was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you could do, if you've divided into, good, injured and bad, and you say you sent injured off to be, healed, you can also say, what does good dad want to say and do to bad dad? And then they don't even have to get in the middle of it, because sometimes good dad will do way more to them than they'd ever dare do to him in the first place. And it kind of helps them to get to see good dad siding with them and protecting them and taking the ownership there too.
Oh, I really like that, Holly. Thank you for sharing.
Elijah.
Yes, 100 times yes. That is the whole point. The whole point of the double dissociation or the triple dissociation is so that you can ping pong from one to another without them having to be involved. And then as things start to change among the dissociated parts, you can then come back and to the observer and be like, okay, well, as that's happening over there and developing, how do you feel? And you'll start to notice that as you ping pong the attention between them and not them and the other not them and the other not them, that it starts to just find a way to release all that pressure, and it makes it a lot easier to work with.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for bringing up the question, because this is how the second hour is supposed to work. Are we ready for another question or topic? And you wouldn't happen to have another one, would you, Renee?
Oh, I had such a wonderful conversation last night with Pam, and I'm just like, I really want to just get everybody else's take on it. And thank you so much for sharing. I'm definitely going to be sending this her way as well.
Reminder, she can go on the YouTube channel and she can watch it. Right. Watch the recording. It'll be on tonight.
Yeah, she's got 3 jobs, and yeah,
It's another resource. So,
yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, I have another question. Totally different topic, but all the brilliance that all the brilliant thoughts and sharing and everything else. How could AI do this? I don't think it could. Okay. It would have to be, but anyways, the question I had was, I talked to TJ a little bit about a new model I have for manifesting, and I just wanted to see if people agree or disagree. So I'm going to try to talk faster than Holly, which, hopefully I can. And there's an old model of the mind where the first level of the mind is the to-do list. And then the second level is the social programming level, and that can be very large. And, there's a lot of conflicting beliefs and rules and memes and everything else in there. And then the third level is the meta program level, where all the beliefs and the rules and that's where people operate from. And kind of reminds me a little bit of what, Lenore was talking about in past weeks about but those three levels. And then the fourth level is the level of imagination. And what I've intuited is, like I said, if you are going to change if you're going to manifest something, you're going to change your frequency. Okay. And if you so you have to, you have to assume that things are already current in your life. Assuming that what you desire has already manifested, the lower dimensions automatically align with your assumed reality. Okay. So that kind of made manifesting a lot clearer to me, because if you start with the imagination and, and if you can imagine something with enough intensity and focus, it will literally change your vibrational frequency, and that will change, and that will filter down towards the other levels, the other dimensions of the mind, to get everything in alignment, so that synchronicities they start to collide and things start to happen as your frequency has changed. You've increased your frequency, and by assuming that what you want is already manifested in your life. And I think that Lenora has done a lot of that work with Elijah and with TJ and with others, and I think that she's operating now at a much higher frequency, and you can kind of see the results in everything she does, that her frequency is definitely higher than when she started this journey. So, and I think that's at the core of manifestation, is to get that frequency, to increase that frequency, you have to use the imagination. So that's my new level of understanding about manifesting. And I just want people to, chime in, agree or disagree.
Okay. Who's got some feedback on this? Holly.
I can push the buttons. Okay. I could be completely wrong on this, but I've been thinking about this a lot this week. So it's kind of synchronicity. I can't say that word, to even have this come up. I think that that's spot on, first of all. I think that saying, getting the right frequency, or also becoming the person you need to be to have it, are kind of saying the same thing as each other. And I think there's two things involved with manifestation. First of all, I think there are a lot of things that we already are the person who's capable of having it. We just haven't chosen to have it yet. So those things are very, once you let yourself know you're allowed to have it and you choose to have it, those can instantly pop into your life. But there are also things that we're not the person. We don't have that frequency yet. The reason I was thinking about this a lot, I've been looking a lot at astrology, and interesting you mentioned AI as well, because I just thought it would be fun to put my astrology readings and ask AI about it and see what happens. And basically what AI told me was that my frequency, I am going through a period where, in order to have, for example, more money, it was saying other things too, but more money, I have to go through this lesser phase, because it's burning off all the excess, and it's burning off all the limiting beliefs I had. It's burning off all of the attitudes I had towards money, the way I handle money, because if the universe gave it to me right now, I'd screw it up. And so this period, even though it looks like I'm getting further from what I want, this period, the whole purpose, all my experiences are designed to align my frequency, to teach me to become that person. And that really hit hard. So I absolutely think that's what it's all about. I think it's definitely about, and sometimes, it's all about imagination. And sometimes you got to go through, because it gave me a big, long explanation too about becoming the person through thought and through action. And so I think you can do a good chunk of it through imagination. How much of it needs to be done through imagination and how much of it needs to be done through experience, that I'm still exploring. But I think you're definitely onto something.
Thank you, Holly, for your words. Yeah, I have an old model of, like I said, AI to me is like you have a pad of paper and you got two people sitting back to back in chairs, and you write something and how's it going? And then you hand it without looking at the other person, you hand it over your shoulder. The AI has like a large language model and it writes something down and then it hands it back to you. And again, I just don't think it could do what we do. Okay. I don't believe that it could be that, so I don't think it could do what we do, in the way we do it. So, but that's my thoughts on AI. But yeah, I just wanted people to chime in whether or not they agree with what I think is my new understanding of manifestation.
Yep. Elijah.
So I think AI can definitely not do what we do, but I do think it's a useful tool nevertheless. In terms of what you said, I agree with all of it. Just want to add a couple things. One is it's always about the feeling. It's always about the emotion. It's not so much about when you assume the reality that you want, it's about what is the feeling that you're feeling in that reality, and that's what you're focusing on, that's what you're holding, and that's what you're attempting to maintain. And finally, just that we can all do it pretty easily when things are going okay or medium, but can you still hold that emotion when somebody pisses you off? Can you still hold that emotion when you're getting triggered? And if you can do it in those rougher moments, that's when you will really get the bigger shifts and the larger movements towards the reality that you want.
100%.
Thanks, Elijah.
Good stuff. Yep. Greg.
Am I on? Yes, I am on.
There you are.
Manifestation is a little tricky for me. I have found throughout my life that I manifested unconsciously because I always had this kind of innate trust and faith and belief that as long as I did what I was doing and I just was having fun and had good intention, and I just always expected the good stuff to happen, and I manifest like crazy and I wasn't even conscious of it. Now it seems I'm more conscious of it, and I'm attempting to manifest one thing in particular, buying a house right now, the house I'm living in. And, Abraham Hicks says, Abraham says that it's as easy to manifest a castle as it is a button, right? So there's no difference in like how big you think the thing is. You can manifest it if your energy matches it, right? So it seems that the more conscious of it, and I want to intentionally manifest something, the more difficult it is, the more fleeting it seems. I don't know if this is something that anybody else has experienced, but I certainly do, especially now. And maybe I overthink it. Maybe I have an attachment to certain things. Maybe I don't believe it. I don't know, but it seems like the thinking probably gets in the way rather than just the being and the feeling and the trust. And ultimately the trust that, okay, well, maybe I'm not supposed to, the universe has a different plan for me. Maybe I'm not supposed to buy the house I'm in, and trusting that. So that's why I said manifestation is a little tricky, because I think it's something that would bring me joy, comfort, predictability, safety, etc. But yet I haven't won the lottery and won a couple $1 million to buy this place and fix it up a little bit. So
Elijah.
So, law of unconscious response. Anybody? What is the law of unconscious response?
you're going to tell us.
It is, I am going to tell you, it is the more conscious effort you put on something, the less the unconscious mind is willing to get involved with that same thing. That's what it is. It's only when your attention, and we're going to have to separate attention and intention, right? It's only when your attention is fully away from the thing that you're not even checking on it every couple of hours, or you're not even checking on it once a day. Once your attention is fully away from it, that's where the kind of law of assumption comes in, but that Mark was talking about, that you assume the reality, you assume it's already done, you don't need to check it. If it is already done and you truly believe that, you don't need to check on it, right? Only then, when your attention is fully drawn away into something else, whatever your day-to-day tasks are, the little actions you take in the world that reinforce the identity that you are going to have this reality, that's when your unconscious mind is going to come in the background and do the magic stuff that it does. Because, so I always use this this metaphor of a captain and a crew and a ship. Okay, your conscious mind is the captain, and your unconscious mind is the crew and the ship itself. The ship would be the body, right? And the body is the biggest part of your unconscious mind. Now, the crew will never override the captain, ever. And they will do what they think the captain wants, and that's the rub. They do what they think you want, not what you actually want if you're unclear about it. So you need to be super clear on what it is you want, that they know, so that they can do the right thing. The example I use is one of a headache. We've all had headaches from time to time. And what happens is that we have a tendency to be like really not enjoying the headache and being consumed by the pain or the discomfort of it, right? And so we, in essence, what we're doing is we're continually checking, is my headache still there? Yes, it's still there. Oh my God, I don't wish it would go away. Is it still there? Is it still there? Is it still there? And it doesn't go away, because the unconscious mind thinks in very simplistic terms, very childlike terms. It thinks, hey, Elijah is putting his attention on this headache, therefore it must be important. And if it's important, then I'm not going to override my captain. But the moment I get involved in doing something, I get busy with a task or whatever else, at some point I forget about my headache, and that's when it goes away. That's when the unconscious mind will come in the background and say, hey, he's not paying attention to it anymore. It must not be that important anymore. We don't need that. It's not beneficial to us. Let's just take that away. And so that's kind of the example I give to help people to understand that you have your intention, but once your intention is set, you got to then let that go and get involved with whatever it is you're getting involved with and doing an action taking that is reinforcing the trajectory that you've chosen. And in the getting busy and involved with all of that stuff, your attention will be diverted away from what you intended, and that's when the magic happens. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, setting your intention and then putting it aside, I found works really good with certain techniques like smurfing and the pathway that I've gone down with hands-on healing. If you set the intention and then set it aside and distract the conscious mind, that's when the subconscious can get to work and do very powerful and almost magical things.
I must be missing something because as you were speaking, Elijah, my experience has been that, I listen to a lot of stuff and um, they said just that. You set an intention, you have a vision of something and you ask for it and then let it go and then trust the process. Like I don't need all the answers. I'm the asker. I'm the intention setter, but I'm not God who handles all the details, which is somewhat reassuring that I don't have to know how it has to happen. Um, I have found myself that I really did. I just forgot about, manifesting the house and go about my day in gratitude as I walk around. There's so much around here for me to be thankful for. I thank the plants and flowers and the sun and the hummingbirds and my patio and the hot tub and my music systems and everything. I thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And like it could be a week or two or more later, I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't thought about manifesting this house and the money for the house, but yet it's like I don't see anything happening. And the analogy of the captain of the ship is much like the manager of a business, manager of a restaurant, that kind of thing, right? You can guide your sailors or your chefs and your wait staff, but don't they need to be reminded? I mean, that's why you're the manager because they're not necessarily the self-starters. They're not the business people. They're the ones who are the worker bees, right? That follow your direction. And the better
Hmm.
manager you are, the clearer you are at training and, being nice about it and reinforcing and encouraging people, telling them they're doing a good job. Isn't that also the job of the excuse me, the manager or the captain of the ship? Because sailors and waiters, they forget, they get lazy and they don't care so much. You have to like go, hey, wait, that guy's got an empty glass, ask me if he wants another cocktail, So I don't know, maybe I'm getting this wrong, but
So
it's
again, I would say,
yeah.
sorry, you can continue. You can, if you weren't finished, please.
No, I'm finished for now.
Yeah, I would say the reminding comes from the feeling. So, as Mark was saying before, you live in the feeling. That's what Neville Goddard teaches, right? That you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
Right.
And the longer you are maintaining that feeling, they will not need reminding because that's the feeling that you're in. That's the intention speaking, and that's what's fueling
Yes.
the
I,
direction.
when I talk to people about, similar subject, manifesting, I reiterate what I've heard that imagine that you already have a thing. Like if you want a new car, right? You imagine you're sitting in the car, what it smells like, what it sounds like, what the stereo sounds like, what color it is, leather seats, whatever. Imagine yourself being in it, holding the steering wheel and driving, right? And I do that with this house. Like imagine the feeling that I would have owning it, the satisfaction, the joy, the pleasure, the safety, the comfort, the predictability, that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, it feels really good. Feels really good. Um, so it's tough when you all the tools, right? But then when I try to implement them, it's like I'm trying to put a flathead screwdriver into Phillips hole, like it just doesn't fit, that kind of thing. So I'm working it as best I can, and perhaps I get in the way. Maybe I am attached more than I think. Like I want it now. Like what are you waiting for, God? Come on. I've been breaking my buns here my whole life, and it's time to have this thing.
Can I ask a
Right.
question? How do you know it's not
I have all
working?
the answers, so go ahead. No, that's a good question. That's a great question. Is that not that what I keep coming back to, the trust and faith that it's all perfect now? It's in process. I don't have to be in charge. I don't have to be attached. And honestly, my life is wonderful. I
Hmm.
don't want for very much. I'm not a rich guy, but I have everything I need, you know, really just about everything I need. So why can't I stay in this perfection, right? Trust this perfection and trust the now moment, right? When I sit here and go, well, what is really happening right now? Oh, well, the sun is setting, it's beautiful. I can hear the birds chirping. The evening is quieting down. The air is beautiful. I get an ocean breeze, coming from the west, and I have stereo systems and nice cars to drive and a couple of motorcycles, and I'm healthy. I don't take meds, and I have hair on my head. I have indoor plumbing, It's like I'm blessed. I'm like at the top of the pile. So my ego goes, that's not enough. You need more. You don't feel safe. You need some more stuff. You need more security, something.
So I'm sorry for those waiting, Holly in particular, but so the moment you go external
Mhm.
and start using the evidence of reality, that's when you kind of lose the game, because whatever reality is showing you, the beautiful sunset, the health, they're all good things,
Yep.
but they are on a lag. They are behind. They are what you already manifested up to this point, and what you would be living from internally using that imagination, like Mark was talking about. You need to live in that and not live in this that's being presented to you, because this that's being presented to you is false. It's malleable and reshapeable and on a lag.
The
And the
present,
moment
what I see is,
sorry, go ahead.
you're talking about what I was speaking of, the present, what I notice around me, what I'm grateful for.
Yeah, it's all on a lag. It's
Yeah.
all on a lag. That is what you have been manifesting already up until this
Yes,
point,
this is true.
right?
Yeah.
And what you want to manifest is beyond what you can see right now.
Hmm.
And so you cannot trust what you see right now as being even in a good way of being grounding or anything like that, because the moment you do trust in what you see already, you've kind of accepted this reality over the one that you're imagining.
Interesting. So perception.
So if you can, like someone once said, and it really kind of stuck with me, like he said, can you see your goal? I said, yeah, I can see your goal, my goal. And he said, well, then you'll never have it, because if you can see it, that means you're not there. You need to be there and see from it.
Okay. Is this what Jesus referred to, the view from the top?
So that I can't comment on. I don't know
Okay.
much about Jesus.
No, I don't know either, but I remember hearing that, the view from the top, like, whatever. I'll have to ruminate on that a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you. That's
Apologies talking so long. I know a couple other people had hands up.
Sorry to commandeer.
No, that's what this is about. And again, it's ironic that we didn't get to the third topic of time, because we're pretty much out of time. And in 2 hours, we covered 4 topics. I think that's awesome, because we got some really good information out. We got good feedback. Hopefully you guys got something out of the first hour. The second hour has been absolutely right down awesome. Hopefully you guys agree. But yeah, we burned up 2 hours in a quick moment.
Yep.
Did you guys get the answers you were looking for?
I got the answers I wasn't looking for initially, which is great.
I got my validation that I'm on the right track. I'm not there yet, but I'm on the right track.
Awesome. Lenora.
I just wanted to say I adore you all and I appreciate all of you so much. I won't be here next week. I am going to be prepping to leave for Chicago. So please know that I'm thinking of all of you, and I can't wait to talk to you all in 2 weeks. And I'm sending you all happy thoughts and good things.
Too. Thank you.
Fine, be that way.
I'm sorry.
And
Good energy to you.
I'll be prepping for Chicago as well, but I'll be here. I'll get a few hours of sleep before I hit the plane. But I want to thank you guys for again offering up your precious commodity of time and knowledge and input and questions and feedback and everything that makes up what Triple T is. This isn't about me. I was just lucky enough to finally get the courage to put it together and invite you guys, and you guys keep coming back every week to make this something that has happened 197 times now. 197 in a row. And next week I'm gonna make it 198, and I'll be back from Chicago just in time for 199. And I'm not sure what we're gonna do for topics or celebrations for 200, but it's coming up real quick, y'all. So
I feel like we need to bring cake or something. Like everybody needs to bring like their favorite food, and it has to be a big party. Appetizer.
Yes. Some
yes,
champagne.
we'll have a virtual global party. But until then, thank you all. Love you all. Have an amazing week, and look forward to seeing as many as possible of your amazing faces back here in 7 amazing days.
Thank you.
Oh, I almost forgot. Love you, Mom.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Cheers.